We're moving on to our last speaker of the day today. I'm really excited for this guy to come because it's going to follow what Nikki just went into brilliantly. This guy has grown a team massively. Like, I've been watching this guy since he's become a part of our group, just growing and growing and growing. He's got dozens of agents on his team, selling hundreds of homes, I think 500 plus homes last year up in Connecticut. And I asked him, like, what do you tell me about? He likes to cook. So fun things to know about David Brooke. He likes to cook, and he likes Star Wars. It kind of feels like a little Star Wars vibe up here. So, David Brooke, you're going to feel at home. I'm excited for you to come up here. I'm excited for you to close us out here on day one. David Brooke out of Connecticut. Let's go.
Well, thank you. Feels like I've never met Nikki Miller, but she seems like a sister who I had never met before. Was that amazing? Woo! I love this. Listen, guys, I got to start off by saying this. My message is very clear today. It's very clear. Like Nikki, I want to help you unleash the potential within. And there's 3 ways which I have just identified for myself, just like she talked about. It's self-talk to me and coaching for my own self. It's number 1 is this. Tear off the fears. Number 2, discover the gift of who you truly are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And number 3, most importantly, take a step of faith. Now, I do need to say this, is that I did not intend to become a real estate agent. I actually got started, and I was like so convinced when I was in high school that I was going to be a youth pastor. Has anyone ever gone to like youth pastor, like ministry or anything like that in church? Wow, wrong state. Okay, I should go to Texas or something. Either way, help me out. So if I say something that resonates with you, would you just say amen, okay? So if I say, let's try that. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Amen. Okay, finally. It feels like we're at church or something. Like I feel like more comfortable up here. Well, listen, I have probably the toughest job out of everyone here today. And the reason is simply this. It's not that I have to follow up James Clear or follow up some of the brilliant speakers here today. It's that in just 20 minutes, you guys can go get drunk. And you just have to put up with me. So if you guys can get through this and help me out a little bit, I want to help you, honestly, unlock some of the potential that's within your hearts. And that's really it. I have no slides. I'll be clear about that. I have no slides. I talk from here. How many of you guys have heard me on Monday mornings talk a little bit, share in the masterminds? Yeah? Okay? I talk from here. And people talk about mindset, they talk about systems, they talk about operations. I love to coach agents just like Nikki does. But my thing, like James talked about, is he says, do something with passion, and when you do it with passion, you can compete against anybody else and you'll win. My passion is to see people freed from fears and mindsets, and here's my word, ready? Heartsets. Heartsets that set us down certain paths. I could literally sum up the day. If you walked away here, probably all of you could tell me the reasons about today. I asked a couple of people at lunch, hey, what did you take away from today? They were like, man, you know what I got to do? Go and fucking execute. Am I right? Amen. Did you already know that? Yes. Yeah, you know why you don't? It's in here. It's in here. And Nikki touched on something, man, that was so good. She talked about like unleashing the lion within. You know, my whole brand is a lion. The whole thing about Brooke Team, it's a lion. And it's for those exact reasons of that inner fierceness just being able to come out. And why do we kind of get in those places where we're really just almost like paralyzed? Dan talks about this sometimes. We're in overwhelm and it stops us. And it has everything to do with fears. And those fears are like, as Nikki talked about, a cage. And in my analogy today, it's wrapping paper. It's wrapping paper. Well, we just celebrated Christmas, and I celebrated it with my family and my 4-year-old little daughter. Her name is Shiloh. And if anyone, who here has children? You have the whole room, oh my gosh. If you have kids, then your experience is my experience, right? You see your kids, they run up, they shake the present, and they ask, is it for me? Right? They want to know if it's for them. And guys, I can tell you that I just like outdid every speaker here because I brought my daughter today. Come on. That's my little girl, Shiloh. He used a child as a prop, okay. Here's the thing about presents. We wrap them up for a reason. We wrap them up for the suspense. We wrap them up for this idea that we get to like watch somebody's face as they open it up, as they tear apart the wrapping paper. And all of a sudden, we see them light up and we're excited because maybe there's some thoughtfulness or design that went into it. But can you imagine if you just simply handed them the present and then they never unwrapped it? Imagine that for a moment. You handed them the present and they never unwrapped it. It's like seeing the lion. I went to the San Diego Zoo yesterday. You guys have like the best zoo I've ever seen. It's awesome. But I watched these lions, and these two lions were completely asleep. And my daughter was like, do they move? And I'm like, no, honey, they sleep a lot, right? But it's the same exact way. Imagine if you gave a gift and someone never took it out. I got this gift this year. It's a beautiful watch, and my fiance got it for me. And it was actually won in a card game. We were up in some log cabin in Vermont, and we started to play a game called Rummy. And if any of you know Rummy, it can get pretty intense. And at one point, she's like, well, let's bet. And I'm like, okay, great. So we start off by betting things that are like fun, right? As a couple, it's like, okay, well, I'll do the laundry. And like, okay, well, I'll take you out to eat. And then it got so bad because I was getting so lucky that she goes, I'll bet you a Bentley. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great, right? Well, she lost, so she owed me a Bentley. And so we wrote down this list of everything that she owed me. And this year for Christmas, I unwrapped it, and it was like a Bentley watch. And I was like really impressed. I was like, nice job, babe. But could you imagine if I never unwrapped the present? I would never get to enjoy the gift of what I have. And many of you today operate in that place, and I'm speaking to myself as well, in a place where you can't discover the gift of who you truly are because it's covered in wrapping paper. You're inside the cage still. Can I get an amen? That's right. And the reason for that is, my friends, is it's so easy to put on the fear. It is so easy to say the market's tough. It's so easy to say, you know what, they've got a great year. You know, they hired the right person. You know what, it's my assistant's fault. It's everybody else's fault. But here's what I know from my coach, is that you cannot have power over anything until you own it. Say that again. You cannot have power over anything until you own it. And so for a second, I want you to take stock and take inventory. What do I need to own this morning? What do I need to own? Let me give you a very real example. When we walk out of this room, someone's going to go, hey, how are you? And they're going to shake your hand. You're going to go, great. And how are things going? Busy, very busy, right? That's the typical of what we do. What Nikki's talking about and what I'm talking about as well is unleashing through absolute transparency and honesty who you are. Hey, things are going tough right now, but I'm committed to that success I learned about today. I realize that the world is conspiring good towards me, man, and I can't miss it right now. And stepping into that, because when that happens, you start to discover the gift of who you truly are. So point one this morning is this: tear off the wrapping paper of your fears. Point two this morning is discover the gift within. Now, who here can waste a lot of time on YouTube? If you waste a lot of time on YouTube, man, I am in the right crew. And I'm a geek. I'm a little bit of a nerd. Kyle asked me before, he was like, hey, tell me something about yourself that like other people wouldn't. I'm like, I like to cook, right? Like I jumped off the highest bungee jump in the world. Like I did that, okay? But there was another joke. I was like, hey, I'm a big Star Wars fan, right? I'm a big Star Wars fan. And I'm on YouTube the other day, and I start going through, and I found this cool channel called Kyrgyzat, and hopefully I said that right. And it's like these explainer videos about the world and how things work. And I stumble upon one about the immune system of the human body. And I'm like blown away by this thing. And apparently, there's two immune systems that we have inside of your body. And for any doctors, like, or if you went to medical school, like, please correct me afterwards. I don't want to be saying the wrong thing. But there's two immune systems inside of your body. And one's called the innate, and the other is called the adaptive. And have you ever heard it when like they're young, it's like, oh, don't take the little kid out, right? Like they're still young, their immune system is still developing. That's what they're talking about this adaptive. The innate you have, but your adaptive is like this incredible superpower. And the coolest thing about it is you have a library of patterns inside of your body that can attack any sort of disease that shows up. I thought that was the coolest thing. I'm like sitting watching this. I think I watched the video like 3 times, and it shows in like this animation on how it works. And I read this verse in the Bible about from King David thousands of years ago, and he writes this, he says, "For I know that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and my heart, my soul knows it right well." And thousands of years later, we're still finding that out today. Because what's inside of your body are these little things called proteins, and they're the language of cells. And on one side of the cell, these receptors are here with a pattern, and on the disease has these other receptors as well. And if your body and your adaptive system can figure out the right pattern with this, what happens? Kills the disease. Pretty cool, huh? I thought that was amazing. And so as I started to look at that, I realized for myself, wow, that has a lot of parallels with what's happened and the gift of who we truly are. You see, many times then I wonder, then why aren't we able to like just attack any disease? Why do I have to worry about that? And the reason is simply this. Look, I'm not a doctor and I'm not going to get into this. But we could all probably take stock and understand, do we give our immune systems and our bodies the best chance every single day? And the answer is probably no. And the reason that we don't is we actually end up suppressing it. We end up suppressing, just like the fears in the wrapping paper, we end up suppressing the gift of who we truly are. Just like was said earlier, we have these thoughts about ourselves that we really don't have it. This self-talk that tells us we're not as great as what we were created to be. And we don't put ourselves in that position. It's very simple to take care of yourself. We all could sell each other. You need to eat right? You need to exercise. You need to hydrate. You need to get plenty of sunlight. You need to get great sleep at night. I could tell you that guy till you're blue in the face, and you could tell me. But how many of us do it? And the reason is that when we do that, we end up suppressing the gift of who we truly are. And my friends, I can't tell you enough, you are worthy, just as Nikki said. And you are powerful. And God has made you to be an incredible being with potential and a gift and a plan for your life. Don't waste it on self-doubt inside. Well, I've got just a few more minutes left, so I want to tell you about taking a step of faith. And maybe this resonates with you, and maybe it doesn't. And no, we're not going to do any churchy stuff here today. I told you I didn't get started into real estate because I intended to. I got started in because of a couple of acts of faith that I never thought I'd wanted to take. I remember walking one day with he's a family friend of ours, and he just happens to have $1 billion. And I asked him one day for advice, and he told me this is advice from a billionaire. 2 things that I will never forget, 3 things, excuse me. Be in command of the facts. Number 2, the path to where you want to go is sometimes the indirect route, which many of you guys could understand. And 3, most billionaires I know are pretty dumb, but they make you feel like you're the only person in the room when you speak. Okay? Let me talk about point 2 today, about the indirect path. I decided I wanted to be a youth pastor. I wanted to help kids. I wanted to help people on the trajectory of their lives and help eliminate fears in the way that I had had the same built into me by other people. And I was at college, and I remember, my mother, she was married at the time, and unfortunately that relationship, that person was not treating her well. And I went home. And I ended up working in restaurants. And in restaurants, I learned how to talk to people. And I remember one day I went in, and there was a lady who was sitting there, and she ordered a Lazy Man lobster, and I went over and I served her well and said, "You should sell mortgages." And I was like, okay, this was like 2006, 2007. Yeah. So she kept coming in, she kept requesting me to be her waiter. And I kept serving her, and I believed I served her well. And she kept asking me, so she said, finally, come into my office. So I went into her office, and she handed me a Yellow Pages book, and she said, start dialing. And I remember dialing and dialing and dialing for dollars until people decided to refinance with me, and I had no license. Guys, I did not know that I could not do that. I did not know. So CFPD, please, understand I'm so sorry. I admitted that publicly. But that was a step in a direction towards real estate. And I thought to myself, I think I might like that. And during the course of this, this time frame, my sister happened to be dating some man who was from South Africa. And during that process, she decides, why don't we all go out as a family and go to South Africa? And you think that the San Diego Zoo is cool. Well, you got to see some of this stuff. You talk about lions uncaged, man. We would go see these things out in the wild. I remember driving in a Volkswagen Rabbit, and it's on the other side, right? Driving on the wrong side, shifting, and there's massive elephants in front of me and lions over. I mean, that is in it, right? That was cool. And I'm on the side. I remember one day, we had a house, and it was just on the cove, and I'm outside, and I'm feeling absolutely purposeless. Because I started doing something. My joy started to get stolen because I was comparing my situation to my friends who had all gone through college and were becoming something, and I was waiting tables and, sitting in South Africa whittling some wood. And I asked God, I said, hey, God, I just don't know what to do right now. I don't know what to be or what to do, what to say. And listen, this is all just my own experience, my own belief system, so I don't say that for you. But what I do know is that my God speaks to me, and he spoke to me that day, and he said this. Hey, I want you to get right with your relationship with your dad. Hey, I want you to go back to church in the community that you were a part of. And number 3, I want you to start working construction. And I was like, what? I was like, okay, God, I get the first 2, right? We'll start doing that. Well, long story short, just to speed up for the sake of time here to get you guys drunk, I decided, one day I woke up and God said, today's the day, I want you to get in the car. This is God's honest truth. So I get in the car and he says, okay, I want you to take a drive. We go for taking a drive. And it's take a right here, take a left here, and most days it's just a quiet devotion of God. And this day it was loud and clear. And then he said, take a left over here and look at that. And I saw it was a development of houses. He said, there it is. You're going to go work construction today. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I pulled over the side. This is the stupidest thing, God. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I pull over the side of the road, and there's an old guy walking down the hill. And I'm like, I can do this. So I get out of the car. I'm like, hey, what's up? My name is David Brooke, and I'm here for a job. And he's like, who? And I said, my name is David Brooke, and I'm here for a job. And he said, what do you do? And I said, I wait tables, but, I'm here to work in construction. He said, well, what are you skilled at? I said, I'm a really hard worker. And he was like, that's it? I was like, yeah, I'm a laborer. He's like, well, I just fired a guy at the top of the hill, and I was just going down in order to post a job for a new laborer. Can't believe that. He said, well, what do you want for an hourly rate? I said, $18 an hour. And at that time, 2006, 2007, it was that was a lot, I guess. And he was like, no way am I paying you that. I said, well, here's the thing, sir. Either that or I'm going to get in the car and ask God again where to go, and I'm going to go to a new construction site, and they're going to give me $18 an hour. Well, he gave me $18 an hour, and guys, for the next several years, I learned about houses, and I learned the construction. And I was like, dang, that step of faith was really cool. And then what ends up happening was, funny enough, 2007, 2008 started to hit, and people started to not buy houses anymore. Gary Habib's, all that stuff was playing out in my life big time. And the funny thing is that second thing, first thing he told me to do about get right with my relationship with my dad is a real estate appraiser. And he said, Dave, can you come help me out? Because I need a little bit of help. My dad's handicapped, can't get around really well, and he's a boomer, so he's horrible with computers. And so I asked him, I said, hey, all right, fine, I'll start helping him. And funny enough, I really ended up liking it. I started being really diligent and interested and developed a passion for real estate and telling people what their houses were worth. And the funny thing from there is I started to get excited about houses. And I took that leap of faith. Well, we ended up growing that business 10 times of what he grew it to, of what he had before. 10 times. And then one day I got this idea. I ran into a realtor, I'll never forget it, and I asked her, hey, I got to appraise this property. You know where the attic is? She was like, no. I was like, you know how big the house is? She's like, no. I was like, okay, so can you tell me where the electrical panel is so I can do the inspection? She's like, I don't know where that is either. I'm like, what's this house selling for? She's like, $1.4 million. I'm thinking of the commission. I'm like, holy crap, how much money is she making? And how many days on market? 3 days on market. And it was more money than I had made in 3 months. And I said, I can do that. And I took a cool little step of faith and I walked into a real estate office and they did the same thing that Barry said. Can you fog this glass? And I did. And I got in and I started selling houses. Man, was I bad at it. I took 9 listings within my first 3 months and I expired 8 of them. You know, I walked in, come on, give me a hand for that. Woohoo! Well, here's the problem with that. You know, if you walk in as a real estate appraiser, you're like, well, I'd like you to go over the 204 UIR form here. And on here, you can, they're like, not interested, right? You didn't speak to my heart. And so I've learned that over the years. Well, I'll speed this up to tell you this. We ended up starting a real estate team years ago because I thought I couldn't do it. People told me I couldn't do it. And we ended up growing the #1 real estate team in Keller Williams by a long shot in the entire New England region within just a couple of years. Yeah, pretty cool. And from there, I knew that we were going to outgrow the community and the environment that I was in, and I just wanted to be a part of a community that was like all of like-minded people. That was like that, hey, get back to church thing. Get around people who are like-minded to you. You guys feel like this is a like-minded group of individuals? Amen. Amen. Right? This is the type of community that I was craving, desiring, longing to belong within. And then, yeah, good job. Are you Pentecostal? No, I'm just kidding. Here's the idea, is I ran into a guy named John Pugh. And this guy named John Pugh was the first person who presented the model to me in such a way where I didn't have to talk about revenue shares and stocks and everything else. It was just all about how do I become the best real estate agent and best version of myself that I can possibly be. And I was like, that is what I want to talk about. And that's the kind of people who I want to be around. Man, was that fun. And I remember taking that leap of faith. And I took that leap of faith and we decided to make the move. And literally the same month that we decided to move to EXP, COVID hit. And it shut down. And man, I was feeling like Moses on the sides of the Red Sea. Like, you told me to go, but there's water in the way. And here for me was the one that split the Red Sea. The path for me forward is leadership. That's the path for me. And will always be. And here's what we decided to do. This is my philosophy. I don't have all the answers. That's why I love this group. I get to share off the collective genius of all of you here. That's the blessing here. And I knew that I needed the same inside of my own organization, so I needed to raise up leaders. And so someone that day told me, hey man, have you heard of this book called Atomic Habits? This was just after we moved. I said, yeah, no, I hadn't heard about it. So I took it and I read it and I probably got through first chapter of it. And I'm like, Tina Call, right? 30,000 feet. Everyone needs to do this, right? We're doing this all now. So I bought every single person a copy in my entire organization. I had like 40 guys, right? Everyone, we bought them all books. Family members, everyone had a book. And I started a little book club every Tuesday morning and I wrote a cool little PowerPoint presentation. And I sent it to Elias the other day because I shared it in one of the generals' meetings. It's over 250 slides in that thing about Atomic Habits, where we went through page by page by page and started inscribing what was in that book from up here to down into here. And guys, I'll tell you, just a few years later, God in his goodness has me up on the stage speaking with the author. Is that some cool stuff? Is that some cool stuff? But here's the thing. Just like Mary Maloney said, I shouldn't be the hero. You need to be the hero in the story, which is where you need to take this step of faith. Because some of you here today are guests, and some of you here today are making a decision. I'm telling you, you're making a decision. You're going to make a decision to be a part of a community that is like-minded. You're going to be a part of a community that you know is talking like this to unleash the lion within, to unleash your potential. That's what you're making a decision for. And so we're going to practice that really quick because I wish, Nikki could say this just as well and she could probably get up there. We're going to verbalize in order to actualize. So when I say this, you're going to say yes, okay? Let's do that together. So when I say, you were made for this, you say yes. When I say, I was made for this, you say yes. If you say, fast forward is home, and I am say fast forward, you say yes. Thank you guys so much for having me today. Lots of love.
Stay in your seats. Stay in your seats here really quick, because this could be the most important part of the night.
All right, I'm gonna fall apart here. I'm gonna do my best. So one of the things that we really like to do with our group is to truly make an impact on people. And the last event that we did, we were able to come together as a group and raise enough money to feed over 2 million people at our last event. It was something that was super freaking powerful, something that was super freaking cool, and I couldn't be more proud of the group and what we pulled off at that last event. And I want to do something today. Something that hits really, really close to home. This is Maddie. Maddie's 29 years old. Maddie is a member of my personal team here in San Diego. 29, just got diagnosed with fucking cancer. Just got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer. At 29 freaking years old, like, it's fucked up. It sucks. And I want to bring the collective power of this group, the amazing people in this group, right? We're up here talking about huge numbers, selling hundreds of homes, making millions of dollars, like doing all this amazing stuff. And I want to use this stage, this opportunity, this platform to help her out, because she's embarking on a journey that, none of us ever want to go through. I lost my mom to cancer. My dad's been through multiple cancers. Like, it's a horrible thing. And I want to come together as a group to help support her. So we have a fundraiser set up, and I want to do this similar to how we did the last one. Here's what I want to do for you guys. We've had some pretty amazing speakers up here today, right? Would you guys agree? Yeah. How many of you guys would love to get a little one-on-one time, a little personal coaching session with some of the speakers that we've had up today? Okay. So here's the way that this is going to work. What's really cool is I asked every single speaker that was speaking today, are you willing to donate 30 minutes of your time to help support Maddie? And every single person, without a doubt, 100%, yes, I'm here for her. Let's do this. So all of the speakers, not James Clear, a lot more than $2,000 for 30 minutes with him. A lot more. So every single one of them is volunteered to offer one 30-minute coaching session to somebody who will donate $2,000 to help support Maddie and her fight with cancer. And so if you guys want to grab your phones, if you want to be a part of this, they're going to go quick. Only one person for each one. So this is a chance. Grab your phone. That's how this works. This is like that time I want you on your phone. I'm going to put a QR code up there. It's going to link over to an Eventbrite page. There's only one spot available with each speaker that spoke today. So effectively, once I throw that up there, the first person that jumps in there and claims that, you got yourself 30 minutes, one-on-one personal coaching session with whatever speaker you want that spoke on the stage today. And maybe the 2000's not up your alley. I understand that's not for everybody. So if you just want to help, right? Here's my goal. We have 23 speakers between today and tomorrow. So we're going to do this again tomorrow. 23 speakers, $2,000, that's $46,000. In addition to that, I'd love to press to get to 50. So for those that maybe the 2000's not up your alley, like maybe that's not your jam, you don't have the budget to do that, maybe $50, $20. Every little bit helps, because the medical bills of going through this and all the other things associated with it are pretty intense. So there's also a link on there to her free funder. If you guys don't know, GoFundMe is a racket. Free funder is where it's at. They don't take any of the fees like GoFundMe. So even if you just want to throw a little donation her way just to help support her. When she got this diagnosis, her and her husband were planning a big extravagant wedding, and they just said, we don't know where this is going to take it. F it, like, let's just go to the courthouse and get married. And so I'd love for some of this money to help get her through this and help so she can throw that big wedding that she really wants when she kicks cancer's ass. So I'm gonna throw this QR code up. Hopefully these go faster than Coachella tickets, because this is a great cause and Maddie's a great freaking girl, and I appreciate your guys' support. It means the world to me.
So let's get that thing up. So what's really special about this room, and I know this because I've been around so many of you for years, and we've shared so many experiences. This is as important to so many of us in the room as it is to Kyle. This is something we're doing together. We could talk about all of the sharing and all of those great things. Right here, this is where we show the support, the community. Does it matter if she's on his team, my team, someone else? No, she's on our team. She's on our team. So with that, make sure you get that photo of the QR code. Tomorrow we will be starting here, 9 a.m. Right now, we're all gonna hop into the back for a happy hour. We're gonna have a great time together. Make sure you have a dinner reservation and enjoy San Diego. Give it up and clap it up for all the speakers today, because aside from, they're just here giving. They're just asked to contribute, and they are here giving. Tomorrow, we are going to have as strong a day, and we have keynoting tomorrow. John Cheplak will be here live, and then we are having that VIP lunch with him, starting off the day with Mr. John Glutch. You ever seen him speak? You're about to see a trained assassin. The guy is absolutely amazing. And what does he do every single time that he ever speaks? He leaves us with action points. Like that is what he does every single time. But make sure to pull those phones out, and remember, again, she's on our team. She's on our team, include no matter where we're from, where we do business, all of that. Let's just show what it means to be one real estate community, and we'll see you right back here for some drinks.
Thanks, guys.